I wanted to show you here another classic example of trade. So as you can see, we are currently in a downtrend. We will wait for the sharp movements of the candles, which will indicate us that the institutions have come into action. Okay, now this is interesting. We can see that we have a small upward trend, but we are waiting for a downward trend. This is our sign that we are approaching the right place. Do you see this break? This is the break that gives us confirmation that they continue in a downtrend. This is what we've been waiting to see. Now we start analyzing according to the rules. As you can see, the liquidity was taken just before the sharp drop down. This is our break. Of course, we will mark it as well. Second, it's a bit crowded for me here, so I will go down to the 10 minutes, which will be more convenient to see. So we have 3 rules already in place. The first is the market structure. We recognize that we are in a downtrend. The second is break impulse. We mark him too. The third is the liquidity taken, which we also marked. Now we are of course highlighting the imbalance, which cannot be missed. This is our 4th rule. And here is our 5th rule, the liquidity that is created for us during the trade. We will mark it as well. Now we have one last rule left, our POI. We will mark it too. We have all the rules we marked on the graph. Now what remains is to wait for him to reach his half of the POI. So let's wait. Okay, now he has reached his half. I will arrange this liquidity trend line that was created for us during the trade. And now we can see that he has actually taken. Now for the further confirmation, we move to a smaller time frame. Now what is left for us is actually to wait for this approvals at this time. Then we can enter in the trade. Okay, it's not the most prettiest, but you can see here that is the most obvious type of structure right now, so I will mark it as such. I'll wait for that line to break, then we'll move on to the rest of the rules. Okay, this is exactly the break I was waiting for. Strong break with big impulse. Now, the second rule is the liquidity taken. Oh wow, do you see that? We have this markup here already. We mark it from earlier. You remember the liquidity was indicated was creating for us while trading? This is the liquidity that was also taken. So this is our additional confirmation. I will mark it here like this. Now I see that we don't have an imbalance to mark. There is a density of candles here, but there is one candle here that stands out to me very much. We can also point out that there is a tiny taken liquidity here. That's right, this candle, the doji candle. It is the strongest here. You can also see here that this was created very close to the impulse candle. This shows us that the institutions are definitely here, and they are currently selling and strong. We will also mark the balance they will have to complete. And that's it. We have all the rules now. We are now allowed to enter into transaction. I will place the trade here in the F of the POI. Now I see that the stop loss is too small for me, since there's all kinds of currency differences and also different quotes for each broker. A stop loss that is too small may take me out of the trade just because of these things. You can have a stop loss that will be small but not too much. I'll stretch it here. A 2 stop loss is good for me. Above the highest. It's definitely a stop loss that satisfies me. And I will mark my take profit all the way down because we are in a downward trend. And I also see the trend line of this liquidity here. It also suggests to us that they will come here to take it. And here there is also liquidity. I will mark it as well. And that's liquidity. I will arrange it to be more organized. Okay, now let's see. He has entered into our trade. Now let it run down from there. Oh wait, I see we have that point, but we are in 1 minute time frame, so let's go up to the bigger time frame. Good, this is better. This is our lowest point. We are obviously in a downward trend, and we also have liquidity here. I will stretch the take profit to this point. Well, it was very fast. I know it's terrible to see the graph this way. There is so much nonsense and drawing here, but it's okay. At first, you will write it and draw it a lot. Over time, it will become easy for you, and you may already feel comfortable not to draw anything, but you should first write down and draw. It will help you. Anyway, we made 22.85 R in less than 1 hour. Let's calculate how much we earned in this trade. Well, we trade on EUR/USD pair, and let's say our count size is $100,000, and we are risking 0.5%. It means we're risking $500, and our stop loss is 2. What we got is 25. We supposedly enter into trade when 25 lot. Let's see something more interesting. Let's see how much we would make from this trade. Our reward ratio is 22.85, and we'll multiply it by $500. Let's see how much it turned out. How much we profit from this trade. $11,425. This is the amount we supposedly gain from this trade. It's very straightforward. A beautiful classic trade. Let's see how much time it took. Less than an hour, 50 minutes to be precise. Do you see the profits here? Much better than just fair. The profits here are simply crazy. $11,425 in less than an hour. Not an hour of work. The operation took just a few minutes. The trade itself took 50 minutes. It's just crazy. Excellent trade. These are the trades that you will take. This is the level. This is how you will make your income from a beautiful trade just like this. Each trader has his own way of reading the charts and his own way of trading. My way of reading the graph is in this way. Structures for me are legs that have continuity, and also that they break sometimes. Having a double return of the leg in the same direction shows some kind of trend. We will trade by reading the whole chart, but we'll mainly concentrate on the last leg. As soon as our leg is broken, we start analyzing according to the rules. The whole trend is bearish, but here it's broken in the other direction, therefore it's called chalk. But I don't want it to confuse, so I'm calling it break impulse. This is the liquidity taken. This is our demand. This is our imbalance. You must already start to recognize all the rules by yourself. This whole line is of course a liquidity trend line. After we have reached the half of the demand, we move to a lower time frame. I don't see anything clear, so we wait. Now we see the liquidity taken away. Now that it will be valid, we have to wait that the structure will break here. There is a break here, but very small. We are waiting to see a break with an impulse. Okay, now we have a very clear and strong break. Something else very interesting happened here, but can you identify it? There is another leg here that is broken. The previous structure is no longer relevant. And we move on. Now here too there is something very interesting. Although our rules are very fixed and clear, but we still have to work with logic and follow the trade because trading is very dynamic and things move while we're moving. And we are talking about a lot of money that we are risking, so it is very important to be alert and sharp as possible. If you feel tired or unfocused, close the computer at that moment and continue in another day. You need to come to trading with a clear and clean mind. Now let's continue. So as you can see, we have two demands here. How will we know how to choose which one is right? And I don't want to put a huge stop loss. The main thing is not to enter the trade no matter what. My conclusion of profit and risk is something that I worked on for a very long time. Your thinking needs to change from a reckless trader to a professional trader. The main thing is not to enter a trade and only desire to feel the graphs and experience this thrill. Your mindset must be very balanced, confident, and calm. Work with logic and reason, not on the impulse of emotion and impatient. Do you know this term, read between the lines? So my terms is read between the candles. Do you see this liquidity trend line? So that's it, it's not. It would be true if the line was slanted to the other side, but in this case the meaning is entirely different. The trend line is already bullish. The buyers have already taken the liquidity away. That's why the institutions are no longer interested in the lower structure anymore. They continue straight from here, so we know it's our demand. I'm now in 1 minute, but these candles are confusing and I'm unsure which candle to mark. So to see the candles more clearly, I will go to the 2-minute time frame. This is the demand I will mark, very clear. You know the liquidity taken and you also see the resulting imbalance. I placed my order here in the middle of the demand. I put a stop loss at the bottom line of this small structure, but the stop loss is very small, so I will make it a little bit bigger. Sometimes there is a price drift due to quotes from different brokers and differences in conversions, so I always keep a little gap. I will stretch the take profit to a point that I think it will reach. I see a clear line of liquidity here. $11.67 is great. Just for curiosity, let's see what happened in a big time frame. There is liquidity here. I don't trade big time frame usually with my method, but let's see if it takes it. Not only did it take it, it kept flying up. I wonder if they will take this week as well. Check for yourself and find out. You remember that I told you that the big time we trade are usually between 10 and 15 minutes? So sometimes the big time frame will be 5 minutes. And this usually happens in a certain pair. I will show you an example of a trade from the pair USD-JPY. So as you can see, this is our break impulse. All the group of these candles are the liquidity taken. You see a sharp upward movement and then a strong downward movement. This is the break-in impulse. Here is our imbalance. You can see the big gap in the imbalance here. Although it completed it, it did very little, not the whole end. And you can see that the liquidity is created here. A combination of imbalance and liquidity increases the probability that they will return to this area. In the case of the supply, I see that everything has been completed and there is no imbalance here to complete. This is the freshest supply I've seen, so I'll mark it. Well, there is a plenty of liquidity here. Each time more and more is added. This increases the probability that they will return to this supply. We move to a smaller time frame as soon as you reach the half of the supply. I wanted to show you something here. When do we know when to stop? Do we stop when the candles leave the POI? So the answer is this. As long as the candle touches the POI, it is valid. As soon as the whole body of the candle passes the POI, it tells us that the other side has more power. For example, do you see the candle still touching the POI in the video? They didn't come out of the POI. This means it's still valid. Now we are waiting for this structure to break so that we can place the sell order. A break-in needs to be a little bigger with more force. We will wait for a more decisive break. Now we did break the structure. You can also see here that the institution took the liquidity in the sharp upward movement and then started a downward journey. The impulse candle makes sure it is indeed an impulse break. Now you can start placing everything according to the rules. We will put our supply here, but now I see several candles and I don't know what precisely to mark. So to be as accurate as possible, I go through the times and check which supply satisfies me the most. Okay, I see that the gray candle took the liquidity and quickly went down after that. Therefore, this is the candle I will mark. This is where the cents begin. The institution will return after they take more liquidity along the way, and we will join them at sales order. I put a stop loss a little above the top candle. 3 stop loss is excellent. Now we will stretch the take profit to the point where we will see liquidity, which the institution probably would want to take. I see a lot of liquidity down here. I see both double bottoms here and relatively large wicks. This means that I'm sure that I will reach here and even continues to go down. And we enter into a trade. I see that it touches our starting point. Let's check if it's not a break-even. Okay, everything is good. It has yet to reach 3 hours, so I'm not moving it to a break-even. Let's let it continue to drop. Boom, that was quick. It took less than 2 hours. Let's see how much we would gain from this trade. So our reward ratio is 10.07. Our stop loss is 3, and let's say our portfolio is $100,000, and we risk 0.5%. Now let's place all the data in the position size calculator. And this is the lot we enter into transaction. Now we want to know how much we earn from this trade. We calculate the reward ratio times the $500, the percentage we risk. Remember that the reward ratio is what matters, not the take profit. Many traders tend to think that what's necessary is the take profit, and it's definitely not. What is essential is the reward ratio. Please make no mistakes about it. You must understand why. Ultimately, you want to increase your portfolio, and only increasing your reward ratio will help. For example, if you place a trade with a huge take profit and the reward ratio is 1-to-1, it means that if you win once and lose once, you lose. On the other hand, if your reward ratio is 1-to-8, you win once and you can lose up to 7 times until you lose. This increases your chances of expanding the portfolio, which is what matters at the end. You should see that your profits are growing at the end of each month. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask me. Now let's see how much we would gain from this trade. $5,035. It's very straightforward. The analysis of the graph is quick and easy. Work according to the rules, work with discretion, and risk what you can, and you will start to see results. Be consistent and trust the process. Read between the candles, read the graphs just like you read in a book. Look at the data, think about what you need, and get to work. I'm waiting to see your trades. That's it for now. See you later. In this video, I want to go over some highlights with you, which are very important for reading the graph easily and correctly. So, as you can see, we are in a slight upward trend, which broke here. Now, pay attention to the candles here to see how important it is to read and understand them and not just see ups or downs. Understand the movement between the sellers and buyers and don't work like a robot. Do you see this bullish candle? Right after it comes a powerful bearish movement. When we see a candle with such a large body which managed to break structure, we know that the institutions are there. This is our first sign of identifying where they are so we can analyze the graph more precisely. And this section of buying quickly and then selling swiftly is exactly the liquidity taken. As soon as we identify these candles from here, it's very straightforward. In the end, everything is marked according to the rules and waiting for a second confirmation, and that's it. It's really fast. So this is our supply. We can see that this is the last candle before the break impulse, and I don't see any imbalance in this area that needs to be filled, so I will mark it as such. I will mark the gap here as an imbalance. This is another confirmation. Now we will wait for it to reach the half of the supply. Okay, it happened fast. We move to a smaller time frame when it touches the half of the POI. I move to a 1 minute time frame. I'll delete this line of imbalance right now so it won't bother us. You can see that this is our structure. I will mark the liquidity taken for now. And you can also see these big candles which show tremendous institutional power. Also, here we have this big candle, and here this bullish movement show us that the institutions are here. And now what is left for us is to wait for the impulse break. And from there to enter a trade, of course, after we see that all of our rules are completed. Do you see this big candle here? As soon as you see a large and strong movement of candles to one side and then to the other side, you will know that you can prepare yourself to enter a trade along with the institutions. But of course, practice as much as you need in replay until you know how to recognize it quickly without making an effort. I will delete these paintings from here for now. I will continue to mark the rules. So here we have the bearish impulse break. Now I see that we have a lot of imbalance, but I'm not sure which supply to mark, so I switch between the time frames. This is very important to remember that trading is something dynamic and not fixed, and it is true that you need to use logic, but you also need to act and think in a smart and sharp way, and actually increase all the chances and increase all the probability that they will go in the direction that you expect. So that's why I highly recommend you to go between the times, not guess and not bet. It is essential to work correctly and smartly, and don't take it lightly. This will be your income, so you must take it very seriously. Don't be fixed on one time frame. Switch between the many time frame as much as you want. Of course, there is a need to be logical too, but do whatever you want. The main thing is that you analyze the graph correctly. Now, you know already that I love this candle, the doji candle, but I see two of those here. And I'm not going to guess what to choose, so I'll go through the different time frames and see what looks best to mark. This combines my candles. This increases my chances of marking the correct supply. Now I have yet to find a suitable supply, but luckily I have this candle here. Yes, I know this is not the acceptable way as I taught you and according to the rules exactly, but as soon as all of the rules are met and we only have to mark the POI, as soon as we don't have an ordinary marking as usual, but there is this doji candle which is also often found in this area between the war between the sellers and buyers, and that shows us who won actually, as middle as possible here. So there is nothing more to add. This is our POI and we will mark it only in this case. I highly recommend that you give great importance to this candle, and here I have already placed the order for my sell. I put a stop loss a little above the doji. And it is important to go through all of our rules. As you can see, we have the liquidity here. You can also see the imbalance. There is no need to mark it though. We have here another indication of liquidity. And I will mark the liquidity that stands out to me here. It also helped me to see how far to stretch the take profit. $10.52 reward ratio, and we enter our trade. By the way, you can see here too that there is a big bullish candles and then there are decline. This is something that repeats itself all the time in the graph. At any time, there is small institutions, large institutions, and medium ones. We need to recognize where they are in the graph, when they are active, and to enter the trade after checking that all of our rules are met. Train your eyes to read the charts, read the candles correctly, give importance to the candles, and not look only at the large structures. Each candle has a different meaning. The importance of a doji candle, for example, is very significant. This candle has a lot of power. If you work correctly and patiently and not recklessly, you will be able to notice him. If I hadn't switched between the time frames, I wouldn't have seen it and I wouldn't have marked it. And most likely, I would have marked incorrect supply and I would have lost this trade. $500 or $1,000, which would have gone to waste. It's too bad. It's a lot of money invested here and a lot of energy and hard work. So please pay attention and don't work like a robot. Use your head and logic and also trust yourself and your intuitions. Constantly challenge yourself and think outside the box, not only trading, but also in your personal life. Always strive yourself to get out of your comfort zone. Wonderful things happen once you do it. So this trade took 1 hour and 10 minutes. We earned here 10.52 reward ratio, which means at the risk of 0.5% of $100,000, it comes out to $5,260. And if we risk 1%, we would earn $10,520. 1 hour and 10 minutes. In what other job could you earn this amount? I don't know people who make such amount in standard 9-to-5 jobs. These people always have a limit on their salary. What is the most fun here in trading is that there is no trading ceiling. You will earn as much as you deserve. It's yours. You decide how much to work, how and when to work. You are your boss. There is no more fun than that. I went through everything I wanted with you. Please look at the structure of the candles, see the size of the candles, follow the movement of the graph. You can also see the candles anytime, even in the lower time frame. Pay attention to what is happening, and of course remember the doji candle. Remember that this is solid. We will use it this way when we don't have a clean POI. It is essential to locate the liquidity created at any time. It must hint to us that the institution will probably reach it. So pay attention to all this data. I hope you enjoyed this video. And that's it. This is the last video of trading this course. And I'm very excited. My journey in this trading world was not easy at all. Kind of a love-hate relationship. I'm sure you will identify with me. The most important lesson is not to give up. No matter how many times you lose, in the end, if you don't give up, you will succeed and get wherever you want. Someday it will happen. Trust the process, trust yourself, and don't give up. So that's it for now. Good luck to you.